The Aquatope on White Sand is a slice-of-life anime from the summer 2021 anime season, but it doesn't seem to be getting much attention in any of the seasonal rankings. This season is dominated by flashier, more fantastical shows, as is usually the case, but this slice-of-life anime may be more rewarding than any of them. Ever since I watched Super Cub during the spring season, I've been looking for something else to scratch the slice-of-life itch, and this show absolutely delivers. Here's a quick spoiler-free overview of the premise. Fuuka Miyazawa is a failed idol who's heading home from Tokyo when she boards a flight to Okinawa on a whim to avoid facing her family. After sightseeing at an aquarium and seeing that they need workers, she asks to stay and work for them. The aquarium is in danger of closing down at the end of the summer, and the director's granddaughter Kukuru is determined to help keep it open. It's a relatively simple story, but I think it's one that everyone can relate to. At some point in your life, you've probably had a place that's brought you happiness and nostalgia close down. The desire of the characters to prevent that from happening gives this show some real stakes, more so than many other slice-of-life shows. But this show isn't just about saving an aquarium, it's about saving people. Fuuka has given up on her idol dream, but Kukuru is determined to never let the aquarium die. She repeatedly says throughout the show that the purpose of the aquarium is to protect life, not just the animals in the tanks, but all the people who come in as well. Every person who comes into contact with the aquarium has their life impacted positively in one way or another, and Fuuka is by far the biggest recipient of this as she transitions from a burned out idol to a hard worker scrubbing tanks, feeding penguins, and coming up with creative ideas to draw in more visitors. That brings me to my next point, which is that the Aquatope on White Sand has such a rich cast. While some shows might only focus on a select few people, the cast here is growing by the episode, and yet things never feel crowded. Each person has a unique role to play in the efforts to save the aquarium. Kukuru is a hard but dedicated manager, while her grandfather is there to teach her lessons on how to run things reasonably. Karin is a tour guide who knows the area and how to advertise, while Tsukimi has food expertise. Kuya does a ton of work behind the scenes and knows everything there is to know about sea creatures, while Kai is dependable and does the heavy lifting. Each one of these characters has nuanced reasons for wanting to help the aquarium, and over time we've slowly been introduced to their backstories. This anime has a show-don't-tell approach, which I always appreciate. There's no narration or stating the obvious through dialogue. Characters learn about each other by observing each other's behaviors and having meaningful conversations, while animals and items in the backdrop have metaphorical parallels to their personalities. Not only is the story good in the Aquatope on White Sand though, but the visuals also back it up. The show is animated by PA Works, which is best known for Angel Beats, Charlotte, and Another. There's so much detail in the art, and from the first minute I was really entranced with the amount of care that was put into shots that only lasted a few seconds. The character designs are really strong too, with a variety of hairstyles being particularly distinct. There were times when I felt like I was watching a movie rather than an episode of a show. It's worth noting that there is some CG in this show. Some of the fish and other marine animals in the tanks are CG, as are vehicles. However, the CG never feels obtrusive. You expect fish of the same type to look alike and behave similarly, so it's not out of place to copy and paste the same models a few times the way it would be for humans on a battlefield in other anime, for example. In this anime, CG is used when it's needed and never outside of that, and I don't mind it in the slightest. The thing that unifies the beautiful writing with the equally gorgeous visuals in the Aquatope on White Sand is the music. There's an incredible orchestral score that gets playful and lively when needed, swells emotionally at just the right times, and feels like it had a ton of attention and love poured into it. It reminded me a lot of the music you'd find in a Makoto Shinkai movie like Your Name or Weathering with You. And an equal part of the sound experience is the voice acting, which I always love to look into. Fuuka is voiced by Rikako Aida, who has a fairly small number of other roles so far, the most famous interestingly being another idol character, Riko from Love Live Sunshine. She gives a very compelling performance, bringing to life a girl who's unsure of her path in life but growing in confidence. Kukuru is voiced by Miku Ito, who's probably most known for Kokoro in Bang Dream and Miku Nakano in the quintessential quintuplets. She has to constantly bring an energetic performance as an optimistic high schooler burdened with keeping an aquarium open, and she nails it. The entire voice cast is great, but the last person I want to highlight is Yohei Azakami, who plays Kuya, a quiet guy who's not comfortable around girls. Asakami has been in a relatively small number of shows and doesn't have any roles I'm super familiar with, but he has a really unique voice that reminds me of Ishigami from Kaguya-sama, though he's not the same voice actor. In all, if you're looking for some wholesome slice-of-life goodness with beautiful visuals, an impressive soundtrack, and a cast of characters with unique motivations, you should give the Aquatope on White Sand a look. And even if you're not, give it an episode or two anyway. You might be surprised about just how captivating shows about ordinary people can be. Plus, there are a few supernatural elements to the show, though they're relegated to the backdrop and mostly exist to enhance the visuals and emotion. I would give this show an 8 out of 10 so far, and I think depending on how the ending goes, it could potentially be higher. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing for weekly content. I'm Matrix from Matrix AM, Anime, and more, and I hope you have a great day.